I'm Anderson Hurst, and if you're a fan of literalizations, that was a game of football.
It's pretty good. I'm Chris Crawford. Jason Myers and JSN are invited to my birthday party. These NFL officials are absolutely not.
And I'm Rob Rang. And while we all know that the center and the quarterback are the only ones to touch the ball in every single play, and everybody's going to focus in on the quarterback, I want to talk about the center and how that change impacted Seattle's narrow victory over the Indianapolis Colts.
I like it. Oh, okay.
Hey, 12, it's the Seahawks squad. Everything Seattle Seahawks every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Emerald City. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get loud, 12s. The Seahawks Squad Show starts now.
What up, 12s? Welcome to the Seahawks Squad Show. Anderson Hurst, Chris Crawford, Rob Rang with you today. The Seahawks scratch, just claw and hold on for one of the ugliest wins I've seen in a long time. An 18-16 victory over the Indianapolis Colts at home. Keep their NFC West hopes alive. Their number one seed hopes alive. 44-year-old grandpa Phillip Rivers somehow stayed in this game for a long time. It was not pretty by any stretch of the imagination. There were a couple players who played outstanding football games today, but there was a lot of players who did not. So we're just going to get our raw reactions. So normally kind of just peek behind the curtain here. Normally we kind of break down like, all right, this segment, we're talking about this, and this. I didn't do that with these guys today. I'm like, you know what? Let's just go right into it. I want to get their reactions on this game because I'm curious where you want to take it. So I'll start with Chris since he joined the stream first. Sorry, Rob.
That's I don't know why I'm saying that's okay. Rob's the one who has to do it. Ugly. But I think in the game that they played the absolute worst in this year, they still come out with a win. And they still control their destiny, really, for the NFC West and the NFC, which is wonderful. And, I thought the defense played pretty well today. There were some things that really bothered me about the game plan of the defense today that we can talk about. But ultimately, the results are pretty darn good. The offense was pretty pathetic. And in particular, the run game today was just awful. And, you do have to give credit to the Colts. They've got some defense. Ballers there on defense. Yeah. Jermaine Pratt and Zaire Franklin and some other really good interior players. Yeah. They are a good defense. If you are a Super Bowl contending champ or a Super Bowl contender, the contender to win a championship, which I was trying to say so very eloquently there, you've got to play better than this. You have to play a heck of a lot better than this. But ultimately, it's a results business, right? And the result is that you get the win. It doesn't matter how crappy it looked. If you play like this on Thursday, things are going to get ugly. But that's a totally different ballgame. It's a totally different game. I will say this. I'm obviously not in that locker room. I am not inside of those guys' minds. I don't have the eternal sunshine of the spotless mind ability to get inside of these guys' minds. I think there was a little bit of lack of urgency for a lot of this football game. And I think the looking past thing sometimes gets overstated. I do feel like maybe there was some of that to begin this game, that they just kind of felt like this game was going to be kind of a cakewalk, and it probably should have been a cakewalk, but it really wasn't. But thank goodness you get the W, because boy, it sure feels a lot better to be complaining about a win than it does to be lamenting what could have been if you don't come out with this W.
Yeah, I much prefer saying that we played poorly in a win than we played well in a loss. No doubt. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
So, Rob, what's your initial thoughts after this 18-16 victory over the Colts?
I think a lot of what Chris just said, to me, it felt like the Seahawks, frankly, were looking past the Indianapolis Colts. I think that they were buying into the hype that, hey, Phillip Rivers can't play anymore. And in the Indianapolis Colts, they don't have their superstar defenders in Sauce Gardner and DeForest Buckner out there. Right. This should be a cakewalk. And I thought they came out, flatter than 3-day-old Sprite. I mean, they just were... they just looked like they were kind of going through the motions. I thought that a play that kind of epitomized Seattle's play overall was the one where Sam Darnold kind of decides he's going to run the ball a little bit and then gets just absolutely hammered and fumbles the ball out of bounds. It was like they were surprised, like, oh, the Colts want to play football today. Like
they're not just going to roll over. What's going on?
Exactly. It's like I thought that he would anticipate that he was going to get hit when he didn't get down, and instead he really got hit, and it flustered him enough that the ball squirts out. Even though if he's holding it firmly against his body, then the defender wasn't really in position to force that fumble. So to me, it just kind of encapsulated, I thought, how the Seahawks played in this game. That they weren't expecting the physicality of the Colts to be better than their own. I think that they were expecting to just kind of ride the momentum of their winning streak, the buzz of the Seattle crowd, and then the Indianapolis Colts. And again, Chris did this, gave them some credit. I thought that Phillip Rivers added some juice for them. So I thought that it was ended up being a very smart move by that organization to bring him in. I also thought that, again, running the football right down the Seahawks' throat, frankly, that was the strategy I thought that Seattle should take. And I mentioned in the opening, guys, about the center position. Of course, Jalen Sandell off the IR, and that was part of the debate. Entering this game was it going to be Sandell or Oluwatimi? And Corbin and I talked about this, and he correctly predicted that it was going to be Jalen Sandell. And while I didn't necessarily argue with that, my personal opinion is that the Seahawks should have stuck with Oluwatimi, because to me, as it gets colder, as it gets wetter in Seattle, I think that running the football effectively is all the more important. There is no doubt in my mind Jalen Sandell is better pass protecting center. I think that Oluwatimi, going back to his college days as well, is a better run blocking center. And so it surprised me in this game where Seattle goes into halftime with 3 rushing yards. There's going to be some transition there. And I thought that was one of the reasons why Seattle started off as sluggishly as they did. Look, as we both all three of us have acknowledged to this point, 11-3, even an ugly loss, it feels a hell of a lot better than 10-4. Just because regardless of whatever the Rams do here in their game against the Detroit Lions, they were leading when we started our broadcast today, and I presume that they're going to win. But regardless, the Seahawks are going to be hosting the Los Angeles Rams on Thursday Night Football, and all this stuff doesn't matter. What matters is what they're going to be able to do against the Los Angeles Rams. I think that they very much were thinking Los Angeles Rams for 49% of their week preparation this week. Only the Indianapolis Colts for 51% of that time. And obviously that wasn't enough, if they wanted to put on a good, impressive performance for the Seahawks fans.
Yeah, it's one of those, Chris kind of compared it to college football, where I'm glad it's not style points matter, because this would be one of those situations where you drop in the standings after a win because you played a team that you should not have even been close to in terms of, and I get they're an 8-5 team, but obviously they don't have their starting quarterback. A couple of guys on defense that you guys mentioned also have been out. But I also, as we start to look forward, we'll definitely look at this game. But just initial thoughts going into the Rams game on Thursday night. I think everyone knows how big of a game that is. I would have felt better if the Seahawks had lost this game or had something like today where it's whoa, that was sloppy victory, than just a rolling of the Indianapolis Colts. I would feel better about their chances against the Rams having a little bit of a wake-up call today, if that makes any sense. Because Mike McDonald, knowing who he is as a coach, and knowing that, hey, guys, I realize that if you play like this today, we're going to be shellacked on Thursday. It's the reality of it. And I think the players know that, the coaches know that, everything. But having this a little bit of a wake-up call in a win, so it's almost a win-win situation for me. And I realize you don't play that well, but I feel better about the chances on Thursday now that we had this wake-up call on Sunday rather than something like last week against Atlanta, if that makes any sense to you guys.
Sure.
Because you're just kind of rolling, you're vibing, you feel like you don't have to change anything, you feel like you don't have to improve anything. And I realize that these guys at the highest level still do that. But just inherently humans right? At this point, like Chris, you mentioned, like the overlooking gets a little bit blown out of proportion.
Sure.
But I think there is a human element to these guys.
Of
And now
course.
that you had this, like, man, we played awful today and everyone knows it, you still got the win, but you still had the wake-up call looking ahead to Thursday. So that's my kind of take on everything. We're going to talk about what made this game an awful football game from many sides of the ball. We'll talk about the offense in the red zone, obviously, in the next segment, because I think that's on everyone's minds. Sam Darnold, it's a weird situation with him because it feels like we took a step forward last week, and then this week it felt like we took 2 steps back today. But he had a couple good drives at the end to get you in field position, but they just can't finish drives right now. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the defense. Should they have done better against a 44-year-old? Maybe, like, I like what Chris said about the game plan because I'm interested to see what he would have done differently. So we'll do that all coming up here on the Seahawks Squad Show. And then, of course, we'll do our unsung hero and unsung villain at the end of the show, as we always do. Seahawks Squad Show, we will be right back. Don't go anywhere. The holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if the gift that delivers every time isn't Aura frames, I don't know what is. It's not just something you wrap. It's a way to share memories because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it. So when they plug it in, the memories are already there. No setting up, no apps to figure out, headaches or anything like that. Just instant smiles. I like it for kind of a gift for the older generation who may not be as technologically savvy. So it's perfect for them. They think like, oh, electronic pictures. I don't have to set it all up, load everything. And no, you do it all for them. Set it up for them. They just open it and it's everything they want right there. It's just like gifting them a regular picture frame, but even better because it loads a bunch of different memories in there. So for a limited time, save on that perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter by using promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code LOCKEDON. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast, especially right now, December 14th. We're getting kind of up against it here with the online ordering season. So order yours now to get in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. It does us a huge favor. So make sure to do that. Locked on at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back. Seahawks Squad Show. Seahawks get the victory. Although if you're kind of listening to the episode and if we weren't to mention the score, you might think the Seahawks had lost this game. But they do win, believe it or not, 18-16 over the Indianapolis Colts. Let's start with the offense, guys. I wanted to save some extra time for this because I think there's a lot to unpack here. No touchdowns. The 4th time in franchise history, I want to say, that the Seahawks had won a game without scoring a touchdown. So it's been a talking point. And Rob, I know you mentioned it. Everyone thinks about, and Corbin did it as well when we kind of do our midweek episode, but everyone talks about during the LA Rams game, the interceptions from Sam Darnold, the turnovers, and that was the difference in the game. And while that was a big difference in the game, I think another huge difference in the game was the inability to score touchdowns in the red zone. And that reared its ugly head once again today. So you get the win. Jason Myers, first Seahawks field goal kicker to have 6 field goal completions or field goal scores in one game. First time that's ever happened in franchise history. Good for him. He played really well today. Did everything he needed to do to win. But the offense, man, you're going to need to score touchdowns if you're going to beat good teams. So, Rob, I'm going to start with you. Since you were kind of on this in the LA game, and I know, Chris, you were too, but I wanted to kind of switch it up a little bit here because I gave you the start at first. Mm-hmm. Just blank slate. Why can't they score touchdowns right now?
I think that there's a lot of reasons for it. I think that the biggest thing is the unwillingness, inability to consistently run the ball. That to me continues to be an issue. I think that that if you are going to prioritize Zach Charbonnet on 3rd down and in the red zone, then you really have to start calling some of the plays in which he is at his best. And that can be some outside runs. I mean, I think that he shows just an ability to get through arm tackles that is just much more, he's just much more powerful than Kenneth Walker. He just runs harder, runs lower, even though he's, 3 inches taller. He just has an incredible leg drive. But I also think that you have to truly commit to that. And that can be, I was surprised, for example, that Robbie Oots was made, was not one of the players made active for this football game. I just think that he brings you a different level of physicality. And I thought that was one of the ways that Seattle might attack the Colts. I also think that you're just not seeing Jackson Smith and Jigba be relied upon in the red zone quite as much. I think that the opponents have figured out some of his favorite routes and how he and Sam Darnold connect. So I think that it's critical that Seattle gets somebody else going as that second or third red zone target. You saw a touchdown attempt to Rashid Shaheed. In the deep right corner of the end zone. You saw another throw to Cooper Kupp in the left corner of the end zone. I don't know that those are throws that really are putting the receivers in great position. I mean, if there were just, people on a whiteboard or a grease board, or on a iMac or whatever the hell they call them plays off of now, then I get it. But when you think of Rashid Shaheed, I mean, his game is his speed. I'd love to see him go up and use his height, to be able to make plays like that. But again, this isn't a guy that you should be asking to body up defensive backs. If you're going to call those kind of plays, to me, that's a Cody White, Jake Bobo kind of a thing. Right. The same thing with Cooper Kupp. To me, his quickness, I think he's better cutting inside 1 or 2 moves, little stick routes, little jerk routes. And when you're asking him to make deep outposts and things like out routes, that to me is not as believable from an NFL cornerback perspective. I think that he's been much more effective on these short routes, where he is able to kind of use his ability to break free of a tackler and those quick routes. So again, I just don't think that Clint Kubiak is doing a great job of really taking advantage of his pass catcher's unique skill sets. And then again, I think that Seattle needs to do a better job of running the football right down opponents' throats.
Yeah, I'm going to you a second, Chris, but I like what you said about Walker and Charbonnet, because I feel like there's this kind of general feeling that, okay, Walker's smaller, quicker. He's kind of a bigger play guy. And then Charbonnet is the guy you use in, short yardage situations and red zone. It's interesting that you point that out, Rob, because I've noticed that too. It's almost the opposite to me. I almost think Walker is a better power runner than Zach Charbonnet is. And Zach Charbonnet is kind of better at in the zone scheme, getting in the open space, kind of hitting the hole really, really quickly. And it just seems like it's almost an oversimplification of it, where it's like, hey, he's smaller. We use him in early downs. And then, when it's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, or in the red zone on the goal line, that we're going to run with Zach Charbonnet. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know. I think Ken Walker runs a little bit more powerfully. But Chris, I mean, Rashid Shaheed did have a decent game today, a couple big catches towards the end. It seems like the last couple of weeks he's started to really get more involved in the offense, which is good. But they need to score touchdowns. What are you seeing that is making them not being able to get in the end zone?
Real quick, by the way, I'm so glad Shaheed made a couple of huge catches on that final drive, because he made a massive mistake on that kick return. Almost cost them field position and time by trying to return that when the ball, well, he definitely cost them both, but ultimately it didn't end up mattering because they end up getting the win. But I'm so glad he made a couple of big plays there. I think this team plays kind of soft when they get inside of the 20. I think this team plays kind of soft when they're inside of their own 22. It is really weird that they all of a sudden kind of becomes an East-West team when they are in those situations. And it worked out a couple of times. I like that little play to JSN inside of the 10 to pick up 6 or 7 yards on a kind of a screen adjacent type of play. But, there was all this talk about like Clint Kubiak was going to be the guy who pounds the rock, the guy who gets them to be much more effective at running the football up the middle. And they're just not. And they don't really try to do it inside of the red zone either. Like Rob was bringing up, they They clearly don't have a ton of confidence in the 3 interior linemen in that regard. And with no Oluwatimi today, Jalen Sundell's a good player, but I think that Rob hit it the nail on the head that Oluwatimi fits what they're trying to do better right now, especially as a guy who is just coming off an injury there.
Yep.
The other thing is Sam Darnold's just got to be better. He missed a couple of throws today to Cooper Kupp inside, in particular, the one that set up the 5th field goal there. Cooper Kupp is wide open for a first down, and he just doesn't set his feet and misses on the throw. You have to be better there. I'm not blaming Sam Darnold for the majority of the offensive mistakes today. That's a huge mistake there. And then the other thing is, Rob, you brought it up, that throw to Cooper Kupp on the out route in the end zone. I think if Darnold gets rid of that football a little earlier, he does have him. I do think that he could have had him there. I still think the process of that play is problematic, but the result could have been better with a little bit more anticipation there. But I just think they kind of play soft. Yeah. They kind of play soft inside of those. And boy, every time the ball is inside of the 10 the other way or inside of 20, I panic because not only is this offense not great at sustaining long drives right now, the play calling is just bonkers. And I'm so worried about a turnover or a safety turnover or something just going to go wrong in those situations. But man, oh man, they have to start scoring touchdowns. My biggest concern is you take a look at the Atlanta game, superb in the second half, superb. But over their last 2 games, they have a total of 12 points, 12 in the first half. Can't do that. Can't get off to bad starts against really good football teams. And the next 3 teams you are going to be playing are really good football teams right now. And yes, I am including the Panthers. Yeah. I'm including the Panthers in that discussion. You've got to get off to better starts. And one of the ways you can do that is playing harder, for lack of a better term, inside of the 20s.
I want to double up on that because I don't think it's just soft in terms of physicality. It's soft in the lack of aggression. Like, I totally agree with you with the it's not just in the red zone on like attacking it when you're in your own inside your own 20 and inside your own 10. It's like they almost give up. They're just like, all right, let's just make this not even if it's like a 3rd and 7. It's not we're running up the middle, like not happening. It's almost like you're just giving up drives. And I get it. You want to be conservative because you trust your defense, and they did once again keep you in this game.
Absolutely.
But and we'll get to them. There are some positives, but also some negatives with the defensive side of the ball today. But man alive, and it's eking down to the players too. It's not just the play calling. I'm noticing it with Sam Darnold, Rob. I think before the Rams game, the first Rams game, 4 weeks ago, he was pushing the ball downfield, being aggressive, kind of just letting it loose without a better term to use there. But it seems like since then, he's been playing scared. He's been playing scared to make turnovers. He's been playing scared to make mistakes. And I agree with Chris in saying that he's not to blame for the majority of the offensive struggles, but he's not elevating them either. Sure. The best quarterbacks in this league are elevating and masking issues and making them better just because of how good they are. So, Rob, where do you think we go from here in terms of the trust in Sam Darnold? How does he get back to where he was in the first 2/3 of this season? Because I'm noticing a big difference in him recently as well.
Yeah, I think that you mentioned that Los Angeles Rams game. Of course, Torrey Horton was available in that game. Yeah. And we haven't seen that big play element from the Seahawks ever since Torrey Horton went down.
Besides just having the big play ability, what is it about Torrey Horton? Because you're not the first person to mention that has been a big difference in this offense. What is it specifically that gives this offense another element with him on the field?
He's just a pretty unique athlete. I mean, there's not a lot of guys who have his straight line speed. Rashid Shaheed has Torrey Horton's kind of speed. Right. I mean, they're both 4.3 guys. But Torrey Horton also has incredible lateral agility and quickness. It's pretty rare for a guy of his size. I mean, 6'3", 185 pounds. And, there's a lot of fast guys. There's a lot of quick guys. There's not a lot of guys who are both. And he has both of those. Now, because he's so damn slim, it feels like he could get, broken just by a stiff breeze, and that's, I think, one of the reasons why Seattle is very much slow playing him. I think that they want to make sure that he is available potentially for the Los Angeles Rams this week, but certainly for any postseason opportunities that you might have. And I think that that's one of the reasons why, frankly, that Seattle hasn't been as aggressive in pushing the ball down the field as much. And then, of course, defenses are adjusting to what JSN has been doing at a record pace so far this season. So I think there's all of that, but it's all the more reason why Seattle really should be able to take advantage of the one-on-one coverages that guys like a AJ Barner or a Cooper Kupp, or in some cases Rashid Shaheed, and that's are getting. And again, that's one of the reasons why I am encouraged by the fact that Rashid Shaheed these last couple of weeks has taken a significantly larger piece of the pie, so to speak, when it comes to the Seattle passing game. And then frankly, we were kind of talking before about just, the consternation that Seahawks fans might be feeling in a game like this, and the fact that they're just not scoring any points before halftime. It's funny, having gone to a lot of Mariners games this past year, and for years and years, the Mariners have done a really cool kind of a seventh inning giveaway where they basically have the floating hot dogs come down onto the fans.
Hot dogs from heaven. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I almost feel like the Seahawks should be doing that with like lisinopril or some other type of heart medication, because it's like what they're doing to their fans here is just, it's leading to cardiacs. I mean, it's just kind of ridiculous. But I think that is somewhat of the mentality of the head coach. I think that there is almost a pompous confidence in the defense that we're going to be fine. All is well. I don't care what the odds makers said that the Seahawks are going to win 50-7. Who cares? This is a game that we can win because Phillip Rivers can't throw the ball more than 20 yards down the field. So just keep I've used this analogy before. It's kind of the anaconda versus like the rattlesnake mentality. Right. Just keep squeezing. You don't have to just bite. Just keep squeezing. Everything's going to be just fine. To your point, Anders, I mean, it's frustrating, but it keeps being effective for Seattle. Yeah. And so I don't know that we should expect it to change anytime soon. And I think that there's also a confidence now that if it's the end of the game, whether the fans feel that way, because I think that there's a lot of Seahawks fans out there. I know that I'm watching thinking, all right, Sam Darnold, let's see what you got. It's the fourth quarter, go win this football game. He didn't lose it. And it's Jason Myers obviously made the kick and a tip of the cap to Jason Myers. Not only making 6 field goals, but going 6 of 6 in the first place. I mean, it's and 50+ yarders to win the game. I mean, he deserves an awful lot of credit, and it just 100%. Speaks to kind of the resiliency of this club. But you certainly would have liked to have beaten this team by 20 points because it felt like it was possible.
Yeah, and man, there's so many things to react to that. But going back to the Sam Darnold side of things, I don't think it's they need him to be an MVP level quarterback to win games. That's not what I'm saying. I think the Seahawks fans specifically would feel a lot better about their chances being an Super Bowl caliber team.
Right.
If they had that level of quarterback play, it's something to fall back on. Like we talked about, elevating your team when you play poorly, having a great quarterback mask those injuries. By the way, another news, not just Patrick Mahomes that tore his ACL, Micah Parsons as well with the Green Bay Packers. So that has NFC implications amongst the teams that are competing for it, with San Francisco and LA seemingly winning as well today. So I'm even more convinced that the NFC representative in the Super Bowl will come from the NFC West, no matter what. I honestly think so. It's one of the 3 teams, and I'm still including San Francisco in that somehow. But it just seems like if the Seahawks are really one of those serious teams that we just talked about, that's going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, they need to have the Sam Darnold that we saw in the first, half, 2/3 of the season. And by the way, as we talk about kind of non-aggressive play calling and the lack of change in that, I want to give a quick shout out to Mike McDonald for his clock management today.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
No doubt.
When the Colts had the ball and they were driving down. You would think, oh, he wants it to go down as much as possible. He trusts his defense to make the stop. No, he anticipates that field goals can be made at 60 yards now. It's pretty common. So he takes all 3 of his timeouts on defense up by 2 points or 1 point, excuse me. And anticipating that, hey, he's going to make that. That left the Seahawks enough time to go down and kick the field goal the other way. So that was a massive kind of step up, because we kind of were a little bit iffy on that the last couple of weeks in terms of the clock management. I think he did fantastic with that today, because I don't think they win this game without them stopping the clock those 3 times, because that could have been game-winning field goal for the Colts right then and there without the Seahawks having any time to do it.
That was really impressive stuff. And it wasn't something I was thinking of at the time.
No, I wasn't either.
That's why he's the head coach, and I am sitting here talking to you guys, because that was terrific clock management. The one thing I did want to mention, I'm not just, again, while I don't want to blame Sam Darnold for the offensive stuff, I also don't want to say that this is the only reason the Seahawks offense struggled. The officiating stunk today.
It was terrible.
Absolutely stunk. And in particular, some really bad missed pass interference calls. And then, are you freaking kidding me? The pass interference that they call on Job, that's the one that they actually call today. I mean, I have to be honest with you, and it's bad, because this is not how I should have been thinking. I got a Jerome Bettis in Detroit feeling when I was watching that game, man. And I was thinking, boy, they would really, really like Phillip Rivers to win that game. They would really, really like Phillip Rivers to come out with that W. And, that's just my paranoia, coming in, I'm sure. But the officiating today was abysmal, absolutely abysmal. The non-call to me on Shaheed, that throw into the end zone there, is just, it's inexcusable.
There was one on JSN earlier in the game too.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just, and by the way, also not calling a personal foul late in that when they are not allowing JSN to get up in that situation there too. The officiating was absolutely a disaster. It's not an excuse for only scoring 6 points. It's not in the first half. It's not an excuse for not scoring a touchdown today. It certainly didn't help.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. All right, let's shift gears to defense. Offense, I mean, you can look at it 2 ways. You move the ball enough to get yourself in position. You didn't have, I don't think they had any turnovers today. I'm trying to remember. I haven't looked at the box score, but yeah. So that's a big positive. No turnovers. This game screams Mike McDonald. This is what he wants to play football. Yeah. No touchdowns. Just don't turn the ball over. Let our defense win it. 6 field goals. Boom. Yeah, thanks for coming. But no, I guess so. You could look at it as a little bit of a growing up moment from Sam Darnold, where you don't lose the game, but you don't win the game. They still need to score touchdowns in the red zone. But let's look at the defensive side of the ball, because you can look at it 2 different ways, where, Phillip Rivers had probably more success than a lot of other people anticipated coming into this game. And I know if you look at the box score, it was like 100 and something yards with a touchdown. Like, that's not much by today's NFL standards. But again, compared, like, literally being out of the league for 5 years, and a guy that literally looks like he can't move. Yeah. You should have had a little bit more success against him, but they stopped the NFL's best running back today and held him under 100 yards, which is massive. So I'm giving him love on that side of the ball. We'll talk defense here on the other side of the ball, or other side of the break, I should say. On the Seahawks Squad Show, after an 18-16 win, Seahawks moved to 11-3, top their win total from last year. Still have 3 weeks remaining. Keep it rolling. The NFC West is alive, or the NFC West Championship dream is alive and well. We'll be back right after this. From Chris Crawford, Rob Rang, I'm Anderson Hurst. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. If you had over on the field goals attempted today, I'm sure you had a lot of success today because, man alive, there was a lot. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. It's fantastic. If you go into the app, they show you everything that's available there. player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked in to every single snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Welcome back to Seahawks Squad Show. Anderson Hirsch, Chris Crawford, Rob Rang with you as we break down an 18-16 victory for your 11-3 and first place as of now. Actually, I think the Rams game went final, so they're technically not in first place anymore. But tied record-wise for first place in the NFC West. Defense. Where do you want to go with this, Chris? As I mentioned, there's kind of two ways to look at it. They held the league's best running back to a fairly pedestrian day in what I think most people would assume would be like that's what they're going to look for every single time. But Phillip Rivers had a little bit more success than I feel like a lot of people anticipated as well. So, Chris, how do you feel about the defense from today?
So I think context has to be put into context here, right? You were facing a 44-year-old quarterback who had not taken a snap in 5 years. I thought the game plan today didn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. And by that, and, I think Rob can speak better on this and he can tell me if I'm being an idiot, and I'd appreciate him if he's telling it. I didn't understand such soft coverage. I didn't understand why there was so much soft coverage today on a guy that I would be basically begging to have his receivers beat me deep. Begging me. And it's nothing against the Colts receivers. Alec Pierce is a talented player. Michael Pittman's a talented player.
Who's throwing the ball?
Yeah. Tyler Warren is a guy who has a chance to be one of the better tight ends in football. There's some, and then Jonathan Taylor, of course, as well. But that really bugged me. The soft coverage today bugged me. And in particular, not getting to the quarterback and not showing more blitz stuff. And sure, I know Phillip Rivers could be 67 years old. And he's still going to throw with timing, and he's still going to shot put that football into a receiver's hands on out routes and all of that stuff. But I'm willing to take the chance of being beaten 30 to 40 yards down the field. Now, that being said, you still only gave up the one touchdown.
Right.
You held them to field goals in those situations. I think Nicky Manwari played a fantastic football game today. I thought DeMarcus Lawrence played a terrific football game today. If I'm just being completely honest, and I don't like calling out dudes, I thought Edward Jones really struggled today. I thought Edward Jones had some real miscues in the middle of the football field today. And you kind of saw that he was frustrated by what was going on there as well. There was a completion to Jonathan Taylor where he just kind of gave the hands up thing where he was like, I don't know what's going on right now. I'm not playing my best. I could be misreading that. Again, not able to, patent pending, trying to get into those players' minds, but I can't do it yet. Ultimately, the result is okay, but I think the process of what they did today defensively was not my favorite. We talked about it in the pre-week show or the midweek show that like Corbin and I were both saying that I would just jam the hell out of those receivers, be willing to get pressure, and if you get beat by the octogenarian, you get beat by the octogenarian, right? Like that I could live so much better and it would be so much cooler of a story. Anders, for a little while, do you know what this game reminded me of? We both love the video of Steve Dangle talking about the Zamboni driver. Like the Zamboni style driver story would be cool if it didn't happen to your favorite team. And if, your team would have played well in that game as well. If it was the story of the Zamboni driver being great, if it was the story of Phillip Rivers being great, I would have been okay with this loss. And, they didn't lose. I think I really need to make that clear too, pretty obviously. But I really didn't enjoy the process of this game. I thought there was just way too much soft coverage against. It just screamed to me that if you could just jam these guys, you were going to get the 3 and outs and get more time to play on offense.
Do you agree with that assessment, Rob? Do you think the game plan could have been a little bit better thought out, as Chris pointed out there?
No, I think he's an idiot. No, I'm kidding. No, not at all. I think that no, Chris makes some really good points. I mean, I do think that Seattle's defense played better than what a lot of fans that are watching might have thought. Just because Phillip Rivers, his completion percentage was good. Ultimately, he winds up throwing for 120 yards. The leading receiver was the running back Amir Abdullah. I mean, that's just the definition of kind of check down kind of stuff. And I just, I apologize, Chris. It was just you left me too easy of a door to walk through. With the calling you an idiot.
By all means. I played soft coverage and you took advantage of it, my friend. Nice job.
Well, again, I think that one of the things that Seattle deserves some credit for is I thought that, look, there really is two pass catchers, in my opinion, for the Indianapolis Colts that had to concern you a little bit just because they have the speed, or in the case of the tight end, Tyler Warren, along with the speed of Alec Pierce. Those are the two guys that I was concerned about. For Alec Pierce to only have one target in this football game, that kind of goes back to Chris's point here. They were basically, jamming at the line of scrimmage, or at least shifting some coverage over towards him to basically eliminate him. Now, he had the one catch against Josh Jobe. That was give him credit. That was a nice play by them. But at the same time, it eliminated any of the big play over the top kind of stuff, because that octogenarian Phillip Rivers has been known to throw a good deep ball every now and then, because he does throw the ball with such great anticipation. And again, that's the receiver that really can run away from everybody. So I thought that they did a good job of that, again, with Alec Pierce getting one catch for 16 yards in this game, and that's it. And then with Tyler Warren, who, along with Nakeem and Worry, to me, those are the two most dynamic rookies this season. I just really think that Tyler Warren should be a slam dunk pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year, with all due respect to Emeka Egbuka, or we're going to be talking about Torrey McMillan, of course, for the Carolina Panthers here in a couple of weeks. I mean, there's been some good players, but with Tyler Warren's size, speed, hands, I mean, he just can be a difference maker for the Colts. And I thought Seattle did a great job of locking him down. And they were changing coverages of who was defending him. Sometimes it was the safety, sometimes it was the linebackers. I saw Eamon Worry on him a couple of times, including for one heck of the one that they wound up calling back. And said that he didn't get his foot in bounds. So again, Tyler Warren winds up with 3 catches for 19 yards. Right. So again, I thought that the Indianapolis Colts, to me, their passing attack was pretty ineffective. It just because they ran the ball as consistently as they did. Now, they didn't get any big runs. Seattle now has 23 consecutive games, which they have not given up a 100-yard rusher. They didn't give up 100-yard rushing as a whole to the Indianapolis Colts, despite Indianapolis running the ball 30 times. Yeah. I mean, that's Yeoman's work there. So, really again, I thought that the defense played well. I was disappointed in the offensive play calling. I think, again, Seattle just played this game very, very conservatively. I think that they just believe, look, if we don't turn the ball over, then the likelihood that Phillip Rivers is going to be able to beat us here, I think that they thought that was very, very unlikely. It certainly would have been helpful for Mike McDowell to kind of whisper some of the strategy to any Seahawks fans out there, to again alleviate any concern that they might have. But I think that they felt comfortable the entire time, and that was one of the reasons why they didn't go for it as far as defensively being more aggressive. I mean, to get one sack against as slow-footed of a quarterback as Phillip Rivers, to me, just says everything right there. I don't think the Seahawks really tried to get sacks in this game. I think that they wanted to manage the game, and ultimately they were successful in doing so. But my fingernails are bit down to the nub now because of it.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's like, if you were to kind of tell me exactly what happened in the game, Jonathan Taylor would not rush for 100 yards. I would almost say right then and there that the Seahawks would win this game.
Exactly.
Like that literally would be the only thing that I could see happening that would stop the Seahawks from winning this game if he started running rampant, because I would not see a reality where Phillip Rivers just continues to turn back the clock, so to speak. Sure. So I guess like you're selling all out, but you did what you needed to do defensively to win this game. And it may not have looked pretty. And it's at times is just, it's frustrating to watch, because it's like, you see this guy that literally, like, the eye test with Phillip Rivers, like, my goodness, I've never seen anything like that. in today's NFL, especially where it's like this dude literally walked off the street to come and play football again and for the first time in 5 years. And I get it. He mentally is there, but he just physically is not anymore. So I feel like
real quick, sorry. I want to give Phillip Rivers some credit though, man. Like completing 66% of your passes. Somebody actually me and said that his last game was actually 4 years ago. Thanks. It changes everything. That's impressive, man. To come in off the streets, to have not played in an NFL game, to come and play in one of the more hostile conditions in Seattle, Washington, to do it in a game that meant something for the Indianapolis
they're still
Colts,
8-5. Yeah.
And to complete 66% of your passes, to throw touchdowns, to show still that same anticipation that will make him a Hall of Famer. Now it's going to be in 2030 or whatever instead of in 2026. But I think that's pretty impressive, man. And I'll be curious to see how he plays going forward, because all due respect to Riley Leonard, who I think can develop into being a nice little backup quarterback, I think I stick with Phillip Rivers if I'm the Indianapolis Colts based on today. I think there was enough good offensively that I would say, let's see what we can do here with Phillip Rivers as our quarterback there. I think you have to give him some credit, man, because Lord knows that the majority of quarterbacks who came into this situation, like if Ben Roethlisberger was asked to go play today, I don't think it would go as well as today as it would for Phillip Rivers or Eli Manning or anyone else who retired in that time frame. I was pretty impressed, all things considered, with Phillip Rivers today.
And I was too. I'll echo those sentiments. And for me, where I would agree with you is not because of Phillip Rivers' play, but it seemed like, and Rob pointed this out earlier on, it seemed like it gave some juice to the whole team. They played behind him. They were trying to get this win for him. And granted, I haven't watched every single Colts game this year, so I don't know. Maybe that's just how they've played all year, and that's just how they've stepped. But they looked like a team where it's like they could have easily just been like, oh, well, the starting quarterback's gone. We're 8-5. We've gotten bypassed in the AFC South. Oh, well, we're playing its best defense. 44-year-old grandpa is coming in to play quarterback for us. But no, they were rallying behind him. And I think that's everything that I've heard about Phillip Rivers is that's just who he is. He's a leader, and that's why he's a coach right now for a high school team and possibly NFL in the future too. So
by the way, gosh, I hope they have him mic'd up. I hope that we get
to that'd be so cool.
I don't know, for anybody who is not an old man like me, Phillip Rivers has some of the best mic'd up moments.
Best trash talker.
Some of the best trash talk with the most non-swears that you'll ever hear from a player.
They don't have to bleep it.
Yes, let's go. he definitely has some Larry Bird to him for sure. So I'm really hoping he was mic'd up for that one, because I guarantee there's some amazing moments from that game.
Well, Seahawks somehow win this one, even though our analysis would make it seem like we lost this game. It's all right. They still get the win. That's you know what? Good teams win when they play poorly, especially against an 8-5 team. Absolutely. Like, yes, they had a backup quarterback in there, but this is a team that a lot of people were really glazing for most of this year, saying that they're one of the best stories in the NFL. Seahawks get the win, play poorly, move on to one of the biggest games in regular season, at least that I can remember, in a long time. And that's Thursday night against the LA Rams. We'll take a quick look ahead to that, how this game affects that, and then we'll do our unsung hero and unsung villain coming up on the other side of the break here on the Seahawks Squad Show after a Seahawks victory. Welcome back. Seahawks win this one 18-16 against the Indianapolis Colts to move to 11-3 on the season, already topping last season's win totals. Still with 3 games left. Honestly, if you were to give me 11 wins, guys, before this season started, I probably would be a little disappointed, but I would have signed up for it. I think. Yeah. So maybe not with Rob, because I know Rob's very high on the Seahawks and he has been all year. So good for you for being that guy, because that's quite impressive for almost. I mean, if they go, I think you predicted 13 wins, Rob, right? So if they go 2-1 in these next 2 games or next 3 games, then you are You are on it. We might have to Nostradam Rob over here.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But let's do a quick unsung hero, unsung villain, then we'll look ahead to the Rams real quick because that is such a huge game. Chris, who is your unsung hero or unsung villain?
You know what? Just because we haven't talked about him really today, I'll go with my unsung hero being Jackson Smith-Njigba. Another terrific football game from him. And, I was a little worried because he gets that. This could have been an even bigger day because Sam Darnold put one right on the money to JSN, and he had a very rare drop. And, I was kind of wondering, I hope that's not his only opportunity. Well, no. And in particular, the little stop move that he puts on right before they score the 5th field goal to what was, I believe, like a 35, 40-yard play. I mean, this guy's just a superstar. And if he doesn't win Offensive Player of the Year this year, then don't have the award. I'm fine with him not winning MVP. I'm totally fine with you saying that, hey, quarterbacks or spectacular defensive players have to win Most Valuable Player. If that's the way the award is, so be it. There has not been a better offensive player this year than Jackson Smith-Njigba. And he's still a little behind pace after this one to break the all-time receiving record, but he's in that conversation, and I want to see it so bad. But without JSN, there's no way in Hades that they win this football game. Absolutely not. So I'll give him my unsung hero just because we didn't talk about him for 50, 29, 30, 31, 32.
There you go. Rob Rank, what was your unsung hero or unsung villain?
Yeah, as far as unsung hero, I'm going to go with Jaron Reed. I just thought that I thought that he played a good football game. I think he wound up with 5 tackles. He had a tackle for loss. I thought that he was at the bottom of the pile on a couple of other big plays the Seahawks were able to create. As I mentioned before, only the 1 sack in this football game, and that was on a play where Philip Rivers, the snap goes over his head. He basically gives himself up. So I was disappointed in Seattle's inability to create more pressure on Philip Rivers. But I also was very much believe that the only way the Colts are going to be able to win this game, you talked about this before as well, Anders, that, if the running back was Jonathan Taylor was not breaking free for at least 100+ yards, it just was hard to fathom how Seattle was going to lose this game. And I thought that there were times where it felt like Jonathan Taylor might break one. I mean, his longest run wound up only being for 11 yards. And that kind of surprised me because I thought they were going to run the ball so often that they were going to break one sooner or later. And I just thought that Jaron Reed did a great job of eating up blocks and then also, again, being at the bottom of the pile. So it was kind of a workman-like job of quieting a Colts offense that does have some talent out there, even with the older quarterback. And I think that Jaron Reed, to me, just kind of epitomizes that blue-collar mentality.
Yeah, I'm going to do a quick kind of honorable mention with Ernest Jones getting another 10 or 11 tackles today. He's over 100 on the season. I know I sort of agree with Chris in terms of he didn't have his best game as a Seahawk. Still having that production when you're not playing, elite football as we're come to expect from him is really good. But I'm going to kind of give our listeners here on the live show on YouTube a shout out because I'm going to go Rashid Shaheed for unsung hero and it's not solely based on this week. It's kind of in the last couple weeks, but it played out this week as well. And he's been growing in the offense as a secondary pass catcher. And we talked about not having Torrey Horton and how that kind of coincides with this offense taking a step back, so to speak. I think he is starting to fill that void a little bit. And we're starting to see kind of his integration into this offense and what it's going to look like. Not just on the offensive side of the ball, but on special teams as well. I know he had what could have been a big blunder with not letting the kickoff go out of bounds on that last drive. But he's kind of brought stability to that returner position as well. Consistently a threat to go all the way. But also just some big catches on that last drive to get him into field goal position to win the game. If he starts to get the chemistry with Sam Darnold to where he is a true deep threat and it's like, oh, you got JSN and Shaheed now. And then when Torrey Horton comes back, you got another one. That's going to be a huge difference maker, and I think this offense starts to get back to what it was for the first half, 2/3 of the season. So Rashid Shaheed for me is my unsung hero. Let's look a little bit ahead to the Rams. Looks like they pulled out the victory. There's some questions about Davante Adams. I saw in the chat that he pulled his hamstring, is questionable for Thursday, may not play. They do get the 41-34 victory over the Detroit Lions, so they move to 11-3 as well. What is this game? Do you guys feel the same way that I do, where it's like it almost feel better about the Rams game now because you played poorly in this game, Chris?
I will be honest with you, and I do not root for injuries whatsoever. I feel a lot better with the Davante Adams news. I just do. Like, McVay has come out and said that it does not look good on short rest. It'd be a borderline miracle if he ends up playing in this football game. I'm just really excited for it. It's Thursday night football is not my favorite thing in the whole wide world. Nope. I think that we usually get absolute S shows of football games when we have Thursday night football games. They're just not very well played. Very ugly uniforms, and oh boy, are we going to see some ugly uniforms on Thursday.
You're not a fan of those white ones, are you?
They're really bad. I am just pumped because this is as big of a regular season football game as I can remember since the San Francisco days, since the days of the 49ers and Frank Gore and all of that good stuff. I'm just pumped. I'm pumped. I'm so glad it's in Seattle. I'm so glad that Seattle is the 6-6 tie. The game that's that game set football back so far. We have never caught up from it. We have never who knows what football could be if it wasn't for that 6-6 game.
Oh man.
I'm just pumped for this game. And the winner of this game is going to be the Super Bowl favorite. I truly believe that. And part of that is an insult to some of the other teams in the NFL. The AFC looks like an absolute mess right now. But I want the NFC to go through Seattle, Washington, selfishly, because I want to see. And again, I mentioned this in our show before, that I do believe that because the Seahawks are so good on the road, it is not necessary for them to win the division to win the Super Bowl. I do believe the Seahawks can win a couple of road games and still go to the Super Bowl. But boy, oh boy, does the path become easier if you get to play in Seattle. Boy, oh boy, does it ever. And the first step is winning on Thursday.
Yeah, Rob, what are you doing to look ahead to that game? Because it's so huge.
It is. It's a massive game, biggest game in years, obviously. I think that, as Chris just mentioned, I have confidence in the Seahawks' ability to win postseason games on the road. Mm-hmm. However, to have them at Lumen, to have that week off in the bye, if you're able to get that number one seed, look, we all know it's going to be a gauntlet. The hell, just today's game against the Colts was more difficult than a lot of people are anticipating. And now with the Rams, with the Carolina Panthers, and the 49ers, the last two on the road, it is going to be very difficult to finish up this season undefeated. And I think that's what you have to do, to assure that you wind up getting that, the number one seed in the NFC. But it's all ahead of you. And I do, to Anders, to your point that you made before, that you almost feel better about this game against the Rams because you kind of stubbed your toe a little bit in this game against the Colts. I think that the Seahawks are, not that I was questioning their focus or their physicality, their effort, but I think they're going to be extra focused now. I mean, the Los Angeles Rams look like absolute world beaters against the Lions. They were down early in that game, came roaring back, and had a spectacular performance. And whether Davante Adams is available, Alaric Jackson, their talented tackle, also went down early in that football game. The Rams could come into this game hobbling. And as we talked about 3 weeks ago or so, the Seahawks look better than the Rams the first time around. Yep. So I do feel confident, and I think that that the Seahawks Stadium is going to be rocking. And I think that it is going to be the type of electric environment that we haven't seen on the football field in Seattle for a couple of years. Of course, we had some moments in the baseball diamond that are this kind of electric. And to me, that's what makes sports so fun, is when you see this happen in multiple sports. And when a city just feels alive, that's what it's going to feel like on Thursday night. And so I'm excited for all the fans who are going to be there.
Yeah, I love this comment from Crunchy Fishhead as we're on the live stream
I
for
love the name.
YouTube. Yeah, it's a great name too. Darnold has to get the Rams quote unquote monkey off his back. The next game is massive for his confidence moving forward. Yeah,
I totally agree.
Completely agree with that. This is a big game for Sam Darnold as it is a big game for the Seahawks because the Seahawks obviously go as far as their quarterback does, and if he can kind of prove that he can beat the LA Rams, which he hasn't done the last couple of years.
Right.
It'll be such a massive kind of monkey off his back without saying it any better than Crunchy Fishhead says. So I mean, it's just such a big game. It's the biggest regular season game. Like I agree with you, Chris, since the LOB days. And we mentioned in the midweek show, Rob, that the Seahawks have never been to a Super Bowl when they weren't the number one seed, and they've also only been to the Super Bowl when they are a number one seed.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. They've never, when they're a number one seed, they've never not made a Super Bowl. Yeah. So those two things are very synonymous with each other. Every time the Seahawks have become a number one seed, they go to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, I agree with you, Chris. I think this team's about as good on the road as I've seen any Seahawks team in my lifetime. But again, being able to get that number one seed, and I think the bye is the biggest thing. Less than playing at home, the bye, as Rob said, is huge because it's just a free win and you get to rest. So
the other big thing for me too, with being the one seed here, is who you play, right? Yeah. Because you're going to play the pillow fight winner of the NFC South, or you're going to play maybe the Rams again at home, and then you get that out of the way and get to play the other not as good football teams, right? So that's a big thing for me, is getting a bye week, and then you root for hopefully the Carolina Panthers to win the division and then win a football game, and then you're playing them. And we've seen the Seahawks take care of business against the Panthers at home in a playoff game before.
I like that.
But,
twice, yeah.
Yeah, I just think that having home field advantage it's not just about the home field advantage. It's about that seeding. It's about that bye. It's about getting a chance to get the matchups that you want there. And it's also just selfishly, I want to see big games played in Seattle, Washington. You know, I want to see this crowd get what they deserve, and they deserve nothing but the best.
Yeah. And we've said December 18th for so long, since the Seahawks played the Rams 4 weeks ago. So it's such a massive game. I know the Seahawks know that. And I just feel better knowing that they had a little bit of a wake-up call today against an inferior team. They're like, okay, we're not going to let that happen. We're not going to play that poorly going into Thursday. But we will have another squad show probably right before that game. I'd say either Tuesday or Wednesday, kind of breaking down the Rams, maybe a little bit of Colts reaction as well with Corbin Smith. Hopefully Turbo's on his way back. He was out this week. But Rob, Chris, appreciate you guys hanging out with me after the game today. Seahawks win this one 18-16 to go to 11-3 on the season. We'll talk to you later this week for a massive week in the Seahawks season as we look forward to Thursday night against the Rams. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one and go